exploding. He's like running.
He's running is so funny.
Yeah, guys, am I rich? I mean, like a 2000
Jail.
high school.
Straight to jail, John.
So, guys, this means that Thanos is coming back in Daredevil.
It was fantastic.
Fantastic.
The podcast where we talk about what we truly want.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Cam.
Welcome back to the webinar seminar, the podcast of your dreams, where we talk about what we truly want. I'm having some reverberation.
Whoa, echo.
Dad, you might have to put some earbuds in. Can you do that?
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay, never mind.
I don't think it's on mine then.
Okay,
No, we're good.
There's something happening, but that's okay. We're back. And guys, we were talking about what we truly want tonight. Hopefully, we're going to have a fun time. I think we will. We've got tonight Dabe, the VHS aficionado, the master of sales himself. Dabe.
You will hear about a sale tonight.
Ooh. We got our supporting host, Jacob, the master of cinema. How's it going, Jake?
Figuring it out.
You're still figuring it out. Still figuring life out.
too.
We got some guests tonight. We got Sam, the cinematic student. Sam, how's it going?
I'm good, and I've figured life out.
Whoa.
Oh,
All right.
The master of
Whoa.
Matrix.
You say so.
Of the
No,
Matrix.
that energy will carry you far. No joke.
Yeah, that's true.
And guys, for the first time live in our studio, the webinar studio, it's Father Sporto, me and Wade's dad, the Duke of Conveyors, the King of Sales himself. Dad, thanks for being on here. Are you glad to be back?
Greetings, Web Nation. I'm glad
go.
to be on.
Yeah. Dad,
Yeah,
were you
no,
nervous?
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I wasn't nervous until I actually was talking with your mother.
Why?
What'd she say?
What'd she
Why?
say?
She said I had a face built for radio.
Oh.
Oh, boy. See, this is kind of funny. We do have people your age that watch. It's about 18% of our viewers are aged. I think it's like 40 to 55 or something.
Nice.
Way to oust him like that.
Well,
Still in that range.
I'm just saying there are people who might find your jokes funny.
And I noticed whenever I would put Mike Webb in the title, for some reason, there would be like 50 views. I don't know why. But anytime, I guess your
Popular
friends want to see Mike Webb talk. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
we got
like
him
it.
on.
All right, guys.
I got an audience.
He knows.
Oh, man. So, guys, what we're talking about tonight, there's a few things. We're going to be breaking down, some leaked images for some future superhero movies. We're going to be talking about Dune Messiah, the third Dune movie. We're going to be talking about Batman a little bit. Also, physical media. Last week, we talked a little bit about physical media. A lot of our fans actually on YouTube requested we talk a little bit more about that. And then also the Fantastic Four trailer dropped today, which was really awesome because we didn't really have a main topic. So we're going to fit that right in there. And also, we're going to be breaking down Daredevil Born Again, the season finale. So, Wade, take us off with our intro here. Wade's going to tell us his story of the week.
Guys, I did it. The Barney tape sold for $500.
That's crazy.
This is my best sale ever. Can you
That's
believe
insane.
this? $500. And they paid full price and shipping.
How much did it originally cost again, Wade?
So I bought it in a lot for about $36 for a bunch of tapes. So I think when I did the breakdown, it ended up being about $1 I paid.
Wow. Well, Wade, now you can go buy a Switch 2.
Yes, Switch 2 is coming.
I told that to Mary, and we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we can get one someday. But
Dude,
let me just give you guys some comparison real quick.
Oh, nice.
Here's Love to Read with Barney. That was my number one sale, $500. The next best was this sealed original Jaws I found at Goodwill for $150. So not even close. Isn't that crazy?
Dang.
But yeah, I've also sold Brother Bear 2, which is a rare one. Some Hey Arnold, a sealed Return of the Jedi, which was pretty cool. But yeah, by far my best sale of all time on eBay, let alone a single tape. So
Wade, congratulations.
thanks,
You
guys.
got it. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
insane.
longtime
believe-
viewers of this YouTube pod actually will know that I got it a couple months ago.
Was
so.
that on episode 1 or 2 where
I think
you
that
announced
was
that?
episode 1. I think that was episode
Dang,
1. So,
wow. Full circle moment, Wade.
yep. Isn't that crazy?
That is awesome, dude. Well, guys, we're going to jump in, but Jacob, didn't you want to give us a little update on 1923? Is that correct?
Yeah, so me and a fellow other webinar seminar, you know him, you love him, Javi Jabba, the Italian guru.
Yeah.
We spent some time together over the past couple of years watching this show called 1923. So if you've never heard of it, it's a prequel to the TV show Yellowstone. You've probably heard of that. It's an insanely popular show. If you haven't heard of it, it's about a family that fictional runs the largest ranch, the largest privately owned land in the country, fictional. And they share a border with Yellowstone National Park, a reservation, and a piece of land that has been bought by land developers. So it's kind of about 4 of these groups and how they interact with each other. You got the national park. It's mainly about the ranchers, the family, and then of course, the tribe, the land developers. One of the show's pretty good. It's entertaining. It's TVMA. Not for the family, I don't think, but it's kind of like a soap opera. It's really melodramatic. There's a lot of stupid coincidences, but it's so entertaining. You kind of don't care. Anyways, this family, the Dutton family who own the ranch, are said in Yellowstone. Sorry, could you guys not hear me a bit?
No, we could hear you. It was just
You're
kind of
back. You're
getting
good.
quiet and going back. Well, you're good. Keep
You're
going.
good. It fixed itself.
How about this?
Ooh.
So
Keep
this
going, bro.
family, they say in the show several times, we're 5th, 6th, whatever generation ranchers. We've lived here for so long. We are, and they show in the show Yellowstone, they have a family cemetery that goes back to 1883. So they made a prequel about, it was probably maybe 5 years ago now, called 1883, about the Dutton family going west on the Oregon Trail. And it's a 10-episode miniseries, and it's pretty good. It's got like Tim McGraw, Sam Elliott. It was a pretty good cast, and the show was pretty well put together itself too. Just like Yellowstone, it had its melodramatic moments. It had its times. It had the Italian guru and I rolling our eyes because something was so cheesy. We were like, "What are we watching?" But when it wasn't like that, it was a pretty raw depiction of the American West and the Oregon Trail. A lot of authenticity in the set design and the costumes, and generally, 1883 is was really well received, and it got great reviews, and people thought it's probably the best thing to come out of this series, this spin-off prequel. Well, they decided to follow 1883 with a show called 1923. And of course, it is about the Dutton family, and here you'll see the season 2 poster. And unlike 1883, they did 2 seasons, and so this show focuses on the family 40 years later. They're established ranchers, and it's about kind of changing times. The main threat of the show is one of the first land developer who we know are going to be the big bads way down in Yellowstone. He's come in and he's ignited a range war between the Irish and the Dutton family on their ranch. Excuse me.
Slurp.
He hopes the range war everyone will kill each other, and something in my throat. Wow. Everyone will kill each other, and he can make the first resort. Obviously, we know this isn't going to happen, but it's the story of how it doesn't happen. What made the show different and made the first season really stand out was one of the main I'd say he's the main character of the show, besides Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford, who are the patriarchs of the family, is a character named Spencer. He's the youngest son of the main characters from 1883, and who have now passed away. And Spencer, when the show starts, is in Africa, and they actually took the time to go to Africa and film all of his scenes. And it was really cool. So he fought in World War I and never came back, and he decided to stay in Africa and become a big game hunter. He was struggling with some form of PTSD, and he didn't want to go home. Anyways, this range war gets ignited by this land developer, and Spencer receives a letter from his aunt Helen Mirren's character that he has to come home. So what made this show stand out from the other shows was that its focus wasn't just in Montana. Half of the story was telling a 1920s travel through Africa and then through Europe and back to the United States. And over the course of the first season, he met a woman who was British royalty, fictionalized, of course, and she left her life to live with him, and they fell in love. So it's about their journey. Half the show is about their journey from Africa on the way to Montana. But then something odd happened. They announced this show was originally going to be one season, just like 1883. But then they announced that 1923 would be coming back for a season 2. It's kind of odd. It seemed like they were doing a miniseries and a miniseries to explain the family's history. So what happens is at the end of the first season, these two characters, Spencer and Alex, they get separated at some point in Europe. And it seems like this was a decision that was made to extend the show, because the whole promise of the show was Spencer was going to return home and, as a war veteran, end the range war. He was going to take charge and defend the ranch. As you see, as they promised in this poster for season 2, defend or die. That's the character Spencer on the poster there. So it seemed like what was going to happen was he would come home, defend the ranch, and that'd be the story. But they ended the first season while him and his wife were still on their voyage. It's kind of weird. Anyways, they produced season 2. It's been 2 years since it came out, and John and I get together to watch it starting I think 2 months ago. And week after week after week, episode after episode after episode, he's not home. The whole premise of this season was supposed to be this range war that they've been talking about the entire show. Him and his wife are still not home. In fact, they're separated. So the best part of their story, which was their chemistry as they went through these adversities together, was just not there. He was just grunting his way through problems, and she was just crying her way through problems. And there was no banter or camaraderie that we kind of got from their journey in the first season. And it really just felt like they extended the story to get a second season out of the show, which was, I think, became immensely popular. It was on Paramount Plus. Week after week after week, nothing happened in season 2, to the point where John and I were just laughing at some of the insane plot developments, thinking this is ridiculous. What awful thing could happen next to keep him away from Montana, as promised would be the focus of this season. So it really does seem like they tried to add maybe 6 or 7 episodes. They're only 8-episode seasons. It seems like they tried to add 6 or 7 random episodes to extend it to a second season. The finale of the show came along, and it was fine. It was a good ending. He came home, stopped the range war, as we all knew it was going to happen. It just felt like we had to spin our gears for 6 weeks waiting for it. This season didn't do very well with fans. It ended up with a 50 or so % on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty unusual for these series, from what I understand. But yeah, we John and I loved the first season, or at least greatly enjoyed it. Just like Yellowstone, it was highly entertaining. But this second season really, really dropped the ball. It was an impressive downturn, and while the show had a good ending, it was not worth the whole journey on the second season to get there. Let me put it in comparison. In the first season, they would go from country to country to country every episode as they were following their journey. These people were stuck in train station to train station to train station this season. It was painfully slow.
Yeah.
And the story at home was put on pause because there was nothing to do. So they used winter as a plot point. Nothing was happening in winter, and nothing happened in the show. It was tough to watch sometimes. It was sad because it was a show that we both enjoyed pretty much. But
Yeah.
I'd recommend 1883 again. That's pretty. It's TVMA, but 1883 can be watched on its own if you're looking for a good Oregon Trail story. It really is just kind of like an Oregon Trail miniseries. But I'm not sure if you really have to continue that family story into the future if you don't want. But the story will be continuing at the end of the episode. The narration provided, which was another cheesy part that we always rolled our eyes at. The narration provided a couple new story beats, and then Paramount Plus announced that they were going to be making 1943. So there will be another chapter in this family's life, but I'm not sure if I'll be there after the disappointment of this second season in 1923.
Sounds like classic money grab.
It's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched another movie show podcast, and they said exactly what you said. They're just like so frustrated with the plot. They're just like, what is going on? Like, there's nothing happening.
There were painful story choices that just it was frustrating to see a good show go down. But we've seen it over the years, especially all of us in this pod.
Yes, for
Jacob,
sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, for those who have never watched any of it, what should be the order that you should go through? Should you watch it Yellowstone first and then go back, or should you start at 1883, 1923, Yellowstone? What would you say?
I would say they pulled some shenanigans that make the watching order kind of tough. You should watch Yellowstone first because there's a lot of prequel style stuff in 1883 and 1923, how the family acquire things that get passed down, whether it's clothing or guns or things like that are kind of like nods to the future. The first episode of season 4 of Yellowstone was intended to bridge 1883 and 1923 by showing the death of the main character from 1883. So you can probably watch, and this was how it was released, seasons 1 through 3 of Yellowstone, 1883, and then season 4 of Yellowstone, which shows, the ending of 1883 pretty much. It was just a ploy to get viewers. Finish Yellowstone, and then you can do 1923. Yellowstone did have a definitive ending, but just like 1923, it wasn't that satisfying. So, enjoy the ride, but don't expect too much at the end.
Okay.
Cool,
Nice.
dude. Yeah. I've never watched it. So, but it seems
I don't
like
have
a cool
Paramount
show.
Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like it's good quality.
Yeah, well, I mean, the production's nice. The acting is solid across the board on all the shows. The writing can be pretty thin sometimes, but it's like a soap opera. You can't take your eyes off of some of the scenarios.
Sweet. Well, any final thoughts on 1923, guys?
I was just gonna say, Jacob, the way you were talking about it, like how much you liked season 1 and then disliked season 2, it kind of reminded me of the way I feel about What If, or how I felt about it, because you watch season 1 of What If, and I enjoyed every episode. I thought it was great, but then like after season 2, even most of the episodes in season 2, I was like, I don't really care. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel like there's no point to it really. I know it's two completely different shows, but that's kind of the same vibe I felt about it.
No, it can happen where they start out with one premise, but something becomes popular and they kind of shift gears a bit. In What If, they started shifting towards original stories instead of the actual premise of what ifs. And by the end of What If, I mean, it was a string of 4 or 5 original stories instead of what ifs, and that was kind of frustrating. And I think they did that because people liked the way that season 1 came together in the end and told an original story out of the what ifs. But then they, so just like in 1923, people loved this story of the big game hunter and the British royalty princess who ran away together in Africa and began a journey across the world. People loved that so much that they tried to extend it, and it did not help.
Yeah.
Dang, you just bridged the 2 shows of their issues.
Nice. Well, guys,
let's move on.
We got a quick break because Colin, our cinematic web segment, is going to air here. Our movie correspondent.
Yeah, let's check in with our movie correspondent.
Let's do it.
The webinar seminar.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Cinematic Web, the segment here on the show where I'll be reviewing the movies that you truly, truly want to see. I'm Colin, your movie correspondent, and let's jump into this week's movie. This week's movie is Warfare. Warfare is directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland, and it actually follows a single event that Mendoza and his platoon encountered while they were in Iraq. So it takes place in a single location Basically, the SEALs take control of a house in the middle of the night, and then when morning comes, they start to see enemy activity start to converge on their location, and eventually it just becomes an absolute fight for survival until reinforcements can arrive. What's different about this movie compared to other war movies that I've seen is that everything you see and hear is taken directly from accounts that this platoon gave. So they really wanted to make this movie as realistic as possible, and because of that, the mission itself takes place in real time. What I also thought was interesting is that this movie doesn't really have a main character, but really the platoon itself is, I would say, the main character because it's showing each one of their perspectives in a different way and kind of what they're experiencing. And so it really doesn't focus on one hero or one character, but kind of the platoon as a whole. What I really liked about this movie is it shows how mundane war can be until it's not. And so the first 15 minutes of the movie is them just kind of sitting around, listening to their comms, and then really all hell breaks loose after that. But it really shows the absolute brutality and the trauma of what these soldiers really faced. And because of this, it's a really hard movie to watch. It was harder for me to watch this movie than any other war movie I've seen. But on the bright side, it also shows kind of the bond that these men had together to ensure that they survived. One of my favorite parts of the movie was also the sound design and how they used that to convey what the soldiers themselves were experiencing. Because when I was watching it, especially in the middle of the firefights or the explosions, I could really feel myself getting anxious and being like, oh, like this is super intense. But I think that just helped show exactly what they were experiencing and what they were going through. So I thought that was really good. Now, the cast itself is pretty stacked. Has a lot of MCU actors like Will Poulter, Joseph Quinn, and even Michael Gandolfini as well. Looking at the final verdict for this movie, I would say this movie is definitely not for everyone. If you are not a fan of gore or of war movies, then this movie probably isn't for you. But for what the directors were trying to convey, I would say it's excellent. It gives you a real understanding of what these men went through and how they stuck together to get out of the terrible situation that they were in. I would give it 4 webs out of 5. I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie, but I would say it's definitely up there and definitely something that a lot of people should go see. But yeah, thank you for tuning into this week's segment, and I'll turn it back to you boys over on the pod.
Thank you to Colin for breaking down. Was it Warfare?
Warfare.
Right? That's pretty sweet. Cool. Thanks to him. That is awesome. He's the guy who's going to go see every movie for us that he possibly can. Hopefully.
Yeah, everything we don't see.
He's going to try to go see. So yeah, guys, let's get into this next segment here, breaking news. We're going to break down some breaking movie news.
Whoa, Cam, hold it, bro.
I forget something?
You did.
What did I forget?
Listen, thank you to everyone who tuned into the last physical media episode.
Oh, that's right.
We wanted to do another quick little thing. Cam and I found this article. So we're going to jump into that real quick.
That's right. Yes, I forgot about that.
So this article from IGN discusses a lawsuit against Ubisoft by 2 gamers. And this game, The Crew, that came out in 2014, it became unplayable after its servers were deactivated in March 2024. The plaintiffs argued that they believed they were purchasing ownership of the game, not a limited license, and accused Ubisoft of violating California's false advertising law. They note that the game's activation code actually said it's valid till 2099, so that implied long-term playability. But Ubisoft countered that the players only bought a limited license and were not clearly, were clearly notified that through the packaging warnings that at any point they could terminate it within 30 days notice. So, the company argues that the plaintiffs received the benefit of the bargain by playing the game for years and has filed to dismiss the case. So it's kind of crazy because it's like, will physical media just now become licenses? Like that's what looks like this started back in 2014. And the only thing is California does have a law that says you must have that on the packaging. And I guess they said they did. But
Interesting.
if this like passes and it's like at any point these companies that make these games can just pull the
pull the plug on it.
and you just have no way to play it anymore. So
That's
it's just
so
another
scary.
it's just another kind of like physical media, like even if you have a physical game, they can just pull the way to play it and there's just nothing,
Terrifying. I think it's crazy that they own the game technically, but it's
Well,
kind of creepy because
that's the thing, though.
you aren't able to actually even own the game anymore. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Like before, even a digital, you kind of still owned it on your account. But I mean, at this point, if they are saying you're only buying a license, I mean, it's basically streaming for games.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay to play, and tough luck if we decide to pull it away.
Now, was this game a live service game like Fortnite, or was it something that you could hypothetically put in and play like?
Well, no, it's a
Spider-Man or
racing
something?
game, but I think it was
Okay.
like mostly online, from what I was reading about it.
Yeah, most.
See, at that point, I feel like you have to understand, servers will go down eventually,
True.
Well, it's still
But I agree with the sentiment of like if you buy a movie on like Fandango or Amazon Prime, you're not actually buying a digital copy of the movie. You're buying the right to stream it from Fandango or Amazon Prime. And if they want to change it or there's a rights issue and they pull it, yeah, you can't watch it anymore. So this is a problem.
exactly. That's why I'm like VHS, physical media, physical video games for life.
The two guys the only two guys probably who are playing this game though. They're like
That's true.
They're like best
That's
friends.
definitely fair.
They're just like best friends playing, and then one day it just stopped, and they just started like sobbing, crying, like this was our only connection was the crew.
That's why
If you want to play a racing game and you're playing the crew, they're wrong with you.
that's probably true.
Apparently, some guys were keeping the disc. They were keeping the game on just so they could keep playing it. Because if they exited the game, then it would be gone forever. So they
Wow.
just left the game open. But eventually, I guess it just rebooted, and then the game was gone forever. So pretty sad for those guys, I guess.
I heard a theory that GTA 6, when that comes out, that's going to be a pay-to-play type thing. Like you pay a certain level and you can have these benefits.
Yeah.
So
I think there was 3 37-year-olds that lived in their mom's basements that were still playing it. And they're the ones that initiated the lawsuit.
yeah, they were the only ones willing to lawsuit.
They went to their dad's law firm and said, "We need a lawsuit."
Unfortunately, the direction that they are going with that, and then video game studios are going with that, is that it's going to be like online service, and then they're just going to shut down servers. Because NBA 2K, I play that all the time, and majority of it you can play offline, but obviously you play online against other people or with your friends. And usually, because there's a new one coming out every year, I think it's usually 2 years they wait before they officially shut down the online servers. So like you can't play any online content after like 2 years because they want you to buy the next game. So that's probably what they did with the crew. It was just like, okay, we're making a new one. We don't want people to be playing the old one when we have a new one coming out.
That's true. They did have a crew too, but the difference there is that you can still play NBA 2K11 or whatever.
Yeah.
You just can't play online. But like with this game, like the game's just done. Like it's not even possible to play the original. So.
Yep. Kind of scary for future, certain video games.
Well, especially because we talked about last time the Nintendo key card. It's no longer even necessarily a game.
Exactly.
Like I still am like unsure if that's for every game or for that's just whatever. But anyway.
Yep. The loss of physical media. Guess we will see.
Licensing of physical media.
Yeah. All right, Wade. Are we good to move on to our
Let's move on to the next.
The breaking news, correct?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna get into some leaked images and also some rumored castings. But let's look at this first image here, Wade. Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom.
What the heck?
Is this AI or is this real? People don't know.
This
The
is a
most fake
Photoshop.
photo I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, it's like blurry.
This is a bad Photoshop. Look at the Look at his neck.
And the arc
It's just
reactor,
kind of floating
I
over
don't know. I really hope there is no arc reactor on Doom. I'll be
That doesn't-
kind of annoyed if there's an arc reactor. You know, I don't know.
Dude,
Dad,
what
do
up
you
with
think
his
this is
weird
real?
long hair, too?
Dad, do you think this is real? RDJ as Doom?
Yeah,
This is-
that looks legit to me.
I don't know. I don't know.
I hate AI. I can't tell anything. Sheesh.
It does it. That's the thing, though. Why is it blurry? You know, I don't know. But
Yeah, I know.
people-
With all of the phone quality nowadays is not like
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, this is like a picture of Bigfoot. This is garbage.
I don't know. So, all that being aside, it might be AI, it might be fake. What do you guys think of the design if this was the take they were gonna do for RDJ Doom?
Terrible.
Really? Why, Sam?
I don't like the fact that he's not wearing his hood and the mask. Like I feel like when you see Doom, that's like, at least for me, that's the first thing I think of, like green cape and hood with the metal mask. And
Yeah.
like just think it would be so weird if they're just like, oh, this is old multiverse Iron Man and he became Doctor Doom. Like that's why he's old. Like I
That's
don't
been the
really
fear
hope-
from the beginning.
Yeah.
The arc reactor thing scares me because
Yeah.
I think it's just like evil Iron Man, you know, and I'm not about that. I want it to just be Victor Von Doom, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, does he
Yeah.
take his helmet off ever, like in comics or in other
Barely
movies?
ever.
Uh,
Barely.
okay.
Only
So, yeah,
to
that-
show
Traditionally, it's fused
Yeah.
to him.
yeah, he's got like
That's what it should look
significance.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, Dad. Put it up again.
Yep.
I don't know. It doesn't come across too well from the phone to
No.
I
one
hope
screen to
this
the
I
other.
think this is fake. I hope it is.
It's definitely fake.
I guess we will see. Jake, how you feeling about it?
It's fake.
Okay, good.
All right. Jump to the
Hopefully,
next one.
here's the next one from Avengers Doomsday. We got Cyclops and Magneto, who were confirmed to be in the movie.
I'll
Yeah, Sam.
So two things. One, Magneto is wearing his like first X-Men appearance costume, which I feel like they're not going to have it be probably the same universe. So he's probably going to have a different outfit, I would think. And then also, I can't remember if it was either a couple hours later that this photo was released or it was like the next day. There was some event going on, like some charity event that Ian McKellen went to, and he literally has like a full beard in that
And,
photo.
yeah, and apparently so does James Marsden. Apparently has a full
Yeah.
beard as well too. So I think this
Dude,
might have been
this
debunked.
could have been an old picture too.
Yeah.
Dude, this was both of these images.
Yeah, this
were,
could be like X3.
yeah, they're all over the internet. These pictures, like people freaking out. This is real, but I don't even know because Cyclops' hand looks kind of suspicious to me. If you look at it, it kind of looks wrong. I don't know.
And
I
these
know.
been like two different shots from the movies that they just morphed together and photoshopped.
Because they don't show their eyes either if it is
Yeah.
AI, because AI kind of messes up eyes apparently usually.
Yeah, I mean, and Ian McKellen was ancient back in like 2005, so I think he looks even older than that now.
Yeah, I don't know, but besides the AI conversation, what do you guys think? Are you excited to see Magneto, Cyclops in Doomsday? I think it's gonna be kind of cool, but
Yeah, I am.
I just don't know if they're gonna. I don't know what. I thought more so like you, Sam, that they were gonna go down a more like comic book path than the original X-Men movies. I was thinking like this is gonna be like the perfect X-Men. You know what I mean? Like some sort of different alternate reality. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm sure like they gave Wolverine finally his comic book accurate suit, and I'm sure like how cool would it be to see James Marsden in that classic blue and yellow?
That would be so cool.
Like I feel like that's what they've got to do.
Dad, are you excited to see the original X-Men back? Even like Nightcrawler and
Have you seen the actor who plays Nightcrawler? He's like 70 years old. It's classic.
but that's okay. It's gonna be cool.
This is the type of thing why the Gen Xers, my group, we struggle to, look around on the internet because the trolls are making everything with AI and we think it's all real. So
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I think
I
it's
just-
fake. I don't
I
know.
just
Yeah,
stay
you,
off
you and
of
the
it.
boomers always
You know,
fall for the AI stuff. I'm sorry to tell you.
oh, well, the boomers, you know, they're worse than us, but yeah.
Right, right.
All right. Well, Wade, let's get into the one. There's one. This one, we don't know if this is real or not, but we got Jason Momoa as Lobo in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We don't know if this one is real. The next one is real, but this one, people don't know if this is confirmed to be real or not. I think Lobo,
That looks
I think
pretty
it's
real. The camera looks consistent between the two
it
pictures.
looks pretty cool if it is. I like
Yeah.
the old motorcycle. I don't know. I'm a fan of Lobo.
So he's
Sam,
no longer Aquaman.
He's no longer Aquaman. Sam, how you feel about it? You look like you're.
I'm extremely excited for this movie. This might be my most anticipated DC movie coming out.
Nice.
Just the comic that they're basing it off of is just really good, and I've been
Yeah.
saying for years they need to just make movies based off of the comic and just recreate it basically. But the main thing I love about this movie and the fact that Lobo is in it is that originally when James Gunn announced Lobo was going to be in it, people were fuming. They were like, well, he's going to take away from the main plot of the original comic. But the guy who wrote Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow even said, he was like, I wanted to put Lobo in there, but I just ended up not wanting to. So he was like all for Lobo joining the movie. So after that, after I found out he was in it, I'm just super stoked for
I
this
think
movie.
it's going to be a small side plot. I think maybe this is how she gets off of Earth, possibly. I
Yeah,
don't know, because it looks like this is on Earth.
yeah.
'Cause I know it's a space adventure more so.
Mhm.
You know, Dad, do you know anything about Lobo?
The main man.
Yes,
He's a
let's go.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know him old school from the old Justice League, right?
Yeah.
So
They've
Yeah, no,
changed him
cool.
up a little bit, you know, but I think he's still he's pretty powerful, and I think Momoa is going to be a pretty cool performance on this. But yeah, wait, show that next one. This one is real. It's super blurry, but Supergirl on top of a tank of some sort here. This was the best image I could find, honestly.
That's so funny. You're like, this is the best image I could find.
This
Like, he
one is
took
not
it.
AI. This is real. I know because they have like footage of her running around and stuff. So they're going more classic with the skirt and the cape, you know. So I think I'm excited. I don't know. I really like Supergirl actually. I like if you watch the old Justice League cartoon, even I'm thinking Batman and Superman Apocalypse. That's a really good one as well. It's kind of a Supergirl movie more so. So I don't know. Any final thoughts on this, guys? Supergirl? Jake, do you have any expectations?
Cool. Yeah, no, I am. I like Sam was saying. I've heard the book it's based on is really cool. So
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've read it as well. I own it. It's pretty good. So yeah, sweet. Should we move on to our next breaking news? Let's look at this. We've got Robert Pattinson is rumored to be in Dune Messiah playing Skytail. Is that how you pronounce it, Dad? Skytail? Skytail? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Sidetail, I think.
and this is the interesting thing. I think he's kind of more so the villain of Dune Messiah. Am I correct in saying that,
Well,
Wade?
well, he's like a key conspirator against Paul. You know,
Yeah.
he's like the face dancer. He can like, transform and mimic others' appearance and voices.
Whoa.
So he's like a master of deception type thing in the book.
That's a really good role for him, considering how he's really like a really good linguist. Apparently, he can
Well,
do a million accents for some reason.
I would love. I don't know what the plot of the story is, but I would love instead of having him, portray a different character and having the actor pretend they're Robert Pattinson's character, pretending to be them, have him in makeup like he's the character.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And nobody notices.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'd be cheesy though.
It'd be kind of like the Penguin a little bit, Colin Farrell in the makeup where nobody can tell. I don't know, but interesting. People are kind of getting nervous about this because actually Robert Pattinson is filming The Odyssey currently. He's playing Hermes in Christopher Nolan's new movie, so he's playing the god Hermes in that movie. And then if he is in Dune Messiah, which this is kind of almost confirmed basically, he would go film that directly after The Odyssey, kind of hinting possibly is there some trouble on Batman Part 2? You know, is it even going to get filmed?
Sam, what's your frustrations? Let's hear it.
I'm so tired of hearing like all this stupid news of like Robert Pattinson being like, "Oh yeah, really excited to film the movie. Should be filming it after the Odyssey." And now he's like, "Well, actually, I might be in Dune 3." And I'm just like, at this point,
I don't even think it's not on Robert Pattinson. It's definitely on Matt Reeves.
oh yeah,
at
Matt
this
Reeves
point.
needs to hurry it up. At this point, honestly, because I've heard people say that that there's a chance that if the Batman isn't ready to come out by 2027 when it's supposed to be released, that they're just gonna say,
They're
okay,
gonna do it without him.
yeah, Brave and the Bold is gonna happen then, apparently, is what some people are
Yeah.
saying. So, but at this point, if he's just not, if this movie comes out in like 2029 or something, I don't care anymore. I just don't. I'd like
Yeah.
tired of
Well, apparently Matt Reeves is having health problems, or his spouse is. Apparently, that is the rumor.
Okay.
That why the movie has not been being made. So, I mean, I understand that, but maybe he needs to like step aside and let a different
Yeah.
director do it.
I mean, it came out in what, 2022? It's been 3 years. You haven't been sick for 3 years. I'm
I
sorry.
think 2021.
Yeah.
Right?
So-
I mean, Sam, they could be sick for 3 years if it's something serious. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Okay.
It is sad. I do like the idea. I like Robert Pattinson in most things that he's doing these days. I'm excited to see him in Odyssey. I'm excited if he is going to be in Dune Messiah. You know me, I'm a huge Dune guy. But Dad, how you feeling about this? Robert Patts.
Oh man, I'm Team Edward all the way. So let's.
Yes. Wait, I think we have some comments about it.
Some people are excited for Robert.
Yeah,
Nifty
Morgan.
Thrifty says yes, Robert.
When does
Robert Pattinson have time to raise his kid?
He did just have a child like a few months ago. Yeah.
Well,
So-
I mean, you know, they'll squeeze it all in, and he'll maybe he's a really good multitasker. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, this is sad. How do you guys feel about Batman possibly being pushed even more? Or would you want a different director to take it up, Jake?
No, you let Reeves finish it, but you end the series. You don't try to do another spin-off show.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't try to aim for
You
a
don't need it
trilogy.
if it's not gonna happen.
You can call it a little trilogy with the Penguin as part 2.
Yeah.
If you want. But just you aim for a good story, and you just try to wrap it up
Yeah.
so that you can move on, because obviously you don't want somebody else playing in the sandbox, and you don't want
Then you
to be
kind of
stepped
get
on
into
by other
the old Batman, the 80s, where the different directors each movie kind of, and it got really messy, you know, and like convoluted. Wait, do you think there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that maybe Robert Pattinson is in the DCU? I know they've said multiple times he's not, but maybe they're
you're saying,
considering
like,
it after this. I don't know.
You're saying
just
like the Batman in the DC.
in James Gunn's version. I know they've said it multiple times that he's not, but maybe this is the extra push that, hey, Matt Reeves is kind
So
of
what, you
taking
think maybe
forever.
use him for Brave and the Bold?
I don't know.
maybe scrap the Brave and the Bold and just kind of
Put Batman
because those
Part
are just
2.
plans right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know.
Yeah, just retroactively be like, that would be ideal for me, because sure, it would have been great to see Reeves' vision, but if he really is going to step back, fold it in. I know he's probably the main reason they don't want to. He says, "Let me finish, what I started before I even knew you were taking
If he's
over."
done, just make him the Justice League main character. I don't know. I don't know what you do.
See if Pattinson will get on board with doing it for another 20 years,
Yeah.
and
He's got to
go
make
for
him
it.
ungrounded though to fit in that this
Somehow.
new universe.
Which it already was a little bit ungrounded with like the Venom and stuff, and I don't know. There was a little bit of some supernatural things, I feel like.
I honestly think the only reason they haven't like officially canceled the Robert Pattinson Batman universe is because Matt Reeves is such a well-known, successful director. Like if this was some guy who's only done 1 or 2 movies, but Batman was his big hit, then that'd be like, all right, buddy, we're not gonna let you just take 4 years to make this movie. But because it is Matt Reeves and he's so well known, I feel like that's the only reason they're keeping him around.
Well,
Sweet.
everybody loves the detective side of Batman too, right? Detective Comics,
Yeah.
awesome. And the Penguin, I mean, guys, phenomenal show, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like Jacob said, give us the third movie, just crank it out, get yourself better. Do
Whatever
some
it
work.
takes.
Yeah.
It's just again, like we said, Robert Pattinson's going to be older than every Batman by the time this movie comes out, which is insane. He's older than
Crazy.
That
Ben
is crazy.
Affleck in Justice League, which Affleck was the oldest at that time, I think, right? So crazy. He's supposed to be the young Batman too, which is kind of funny. But yeah, guys, that's hilarious. That's awesome. I mean, awesome for Robert Pattinson. He's getting more work, but sad for us as Batman fans.
Yeah, for him, that's awesome. That's going to be 2 awesome movies back to back.
So good.
Potentially
with
3 if
Dune
they
and-
squeeze Batman in, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. No. He's on an all-time run
Yeah.
right now.
Sweet. Fantastic Four trailer dropped, guys. Today, it was perfect timing for us, and we saw it. And what did you guys think about it? Let's get some initial thoughts here. How about visually? Jacob, how'd you feel about the visuals of this trailer?
It looks pretty cool. Definitely some odd camera angles that are a little more reminiscent of 60s
Yeah.
movies. Which kind of places it in its, I don't know, retro futuristic setting on whatever world they're on. The idea of Galactus being a physical walking being, I'm sure we're going to get to
Yeah.
that, is really cool
Yeah.
too, and showing how it's going to work it's just pretty
How'd
exciting.
you feel about the Thing CGI?
Looks fine.
Yeah.
I like that we finally got to see
What are-
Pedro Pascal, you know, Mr. Fantastic, his powers actually, because I was wondering why they were like
Being
hiding
stretched.
that.
I think they're so nervous about showing that because it's such a.
They're probably still
Yeah.
working on it too.
It's
That's probably like the one shot they finished.
Yeah.
big.
Oh man. But we got some really cool shots of the family, you know, with their costumes on, you know, in peril, but also Silver Surfer, female version, because this is an alternate reality. I kind of have some theories about why it's a female Silver Surfer, but obviously the Herald of Galactus, the person who comes and warns Earth, you know, that hey, you know, Galactus is going to eat the planet, basically. You know, he's going to consume. He consumes all, basically. So that was pretty cool. Reed Richards is like, we're going to protect you. We're going to protect the world. So it's kind of weird that they're like celebrities, but also heroes. Dad, how do you feel about this? Have you seen the older ones? Do you think they can top those older ones possibly with this different type of theme?
It didn't capture my.
Really?
It didn't grab me, guys. I don't know. I remember watching the old, you know, 1960s where they're trying to show the futuristic ideas and
Yeah.
and they were terrible then, and maybe they can do it great now. I just Pedro Pascal, really, dude.
So you
gotta
don't like
be in
that whole
every single
Tomorrowland-
show? I mean,
He's in
I
everything.
agree with that. Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know, man. I'll, you know me, I'll go watch it, and
Yeah.
it'll probably be great. If I'm entertained, that's what I'm rooting for. But I don't know. It looks.
So you don't.
I
you
don't like
the whole
I don't
Disney...
like they're like going to the retro, but yet trying to do the retro future version.
Interesting.
Look at the robot. I mean, really? That's the best you can do.
Dang, I think it's unique.
Amazon robots are better than that thing. I just,
Oh man, I think it's a unique idea. You know, why not try to, you know, do something different?
Well, and I think they're kind of boxed in. They have to do something different because they're going to be compared to the one 10 years ago, which was trying to be dark and edgy and very grounded and realistic. And then you've got the one 20 years ago, which was pretty straightforward for like a 2000 style superhero movie with no differences or whatever. You know, they're normal people in their time getting powers. So I'm glad they're going a different way with it just because we don't need a remake of the 2005 one. And no, we shouldn't bring Miles Teller back.
Jeez. Wait, say that again? It's fantastic. So bad. Yeah, I have some theories going into this. People are kind of nervous about the tone, kind of thinking that Marvel they might have course corrected too far. It feels a little bit like humorless, almost like just very serious, which I think there's nothing wrong with a serious tone. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, this is dire.
Well, that's Pedro Pascal in a nutshell. Just serious.
What, just like serious? I don't know.
serious, like Mandalorian Joel.
He is pretty
You know,
serious.
he's just kind of
pretty,
serious, dark, angry guy.
He is. Which Reed is usually like tough to handle. He's kind of like a difficult person usually in the comics. So maybe they're gonna kind of convey that in this. I'm not sure. But you know, seeing all this, I think somehow this female Silver Surfer is somehow gonna die. They're gonna get into the new universe, and we're hopefully gonna get Norrin Rad, the real Silver Surfer, which that's what I want to see really badly, honestly, in the MCU. Sam, you've been quiet. How'd you feel about this trailer? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, so I the best way I can describe my feelings whenever I saw even the first trailer is like this movie, I feel like it's gonna be a good time, like a fun time movie. Like I feel like I'm gonna walk out of the theater and be like, you know what, that was good. Like I had fun watching. Like I feel like it's gonna be a fun experience to watch. And like you were saying with your theory about Silver Surfer, I think that because you know they made the second trailer, a big focus of it was the Fantastic Four being like, look guys, yes, this world ending threat is coming, but we're gonna be here to protect you. I honestly think that they're gonna go either two routes. I think they're gonna say at the end of the movie they're gonna fail, and at a last resort they're gonna say, okay, like we need to get off this world if we're gonna survive. Or this might be a little more cynical, but I think they might just be like, they might find out that there's no stopping Galactus, and they're gonna say, "Okay, bye guys, see you later." And
That might be it, dude.
And they'll just like literally leave,
Oh,
and they'll
dude,
go
that'd be
to.
wild.
They'll
They'd be
go
kind
to
of be like they're not the greatest heroes.
yeah, exactly.
You
Like
know?
they'll go to our universe, and then they'll be like, "Okay, we're safe from Galactus." But then I think what'll happen is Norrin Rad comes, and he's like to our version of Earth, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, there's a threat coming that you should know about." And then they're like, "Oh shoot, we can't get away from this guy." So
that
then
would
they
be
actually,
interesting.
yeah, they actually have to help our universe stop Galactus because they just skipped out on helping their universe.
Only thing is, I think you need to give up hope to see Norrin Rad. I think it's going to be Doom instead.
Oh yeah, I don't think Norrin Rad's gonna come anytime soon. I just think when
Yeah.
they want to introduce Galactus, they'll say, "Hey, like," or at least when they introduce Galactus into our universe, it'll be like Norrin Rad shows up and says, "Hey, like this guy's coming."
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they did another.
I'm interested how they're going to do it. They are they revealed that Sue Storm is pregnant with Franklin Richards, which is like the most powerful comic book character ever. So I don't know what I think that's kind of hinting something because he's an Omega level mutant who can alter reality and create new universes. I think they're gonna reboot the MCU using that character by the end of Secret Wars. That is my big theory because I think they're kind of done with this old timeline and they kind of want to revamp with the X-Men, with Fantastic Four, with the Avengers, all in the same world. You know what I mean? Because right now it seems very convoluted. You know, you got X-Men over here, possibly you got Avengers. I think that's my personal theory. They're going to reboot the MCU, reusing some old characters, actors who want to stick around maybe, but recasting maybe like Iron Man, Captain America, some of these main players who are gone now. I don't know. What do you guys think about that with Sue Storm being pregnant with the most powerful being of all time? I don't know. Any thoughts?
It definitely seems like the worlds are going to go together. I think directly recasting Iron Man, Captain America, Steve Rogers, Captain America, stuff like that. I don't think they can touch that for another couple decades. I think they're going to merge all these universes and create a new world, so to speak, a new. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying after all of that,
it's all going to come together. After all of that, I don't think we're going to have a new Iron Man.
Really?
I don't think we're going to have a new actor playing Tony Stark.
Interesting.
We're not going to have a new actor playing Steve Rogers. I mean, right now they're committed to Anthony Mackie as Captain
Well, true.
America.
They are saying
right now Robert Downey Jr. is still here as Dr. Doom and not as Iron Man. Why? If they just wanted to keep on doing Iron Man, they'd keep him around, you know? So I don't think any of these characters are getting recast as Tony Stark, as Steve Rogers, as anybody else. I think it'll be a new world. I think they're going to bill it as a fresh start. But I don't think anybody's getting recast.
Interesting. I don't know. I think somehow they got to get T'Challa back too. I don't know. So
that's different. That's kind of.
I'm saying after like the whole multiverse saga is done, I know they're doing the mutant saga next. Apparently, that's the rumor. Maybe they're gonna start off with X-Men with that new saga, and then like within 10 years, then they start introducing Avengers, possibly like new recast Avengers. I don't know. If say they recasted the X-Men. by
No, because
then.
they're not going to stop doing stuff with like Anthony Mackie's Cap or Ant
I
Man
don't
or
know, but Cap's
Shang-Chi,
he's
maybe
been
even Thor. If he
he's
stays
been Captain
around.
America for a long time now. I feel like, even
Yeah,
though he's
but
only
not
gotten
in
2
much
projects,
content though.
but not
Not
in a
in
lot of
many
content.
things.
You're
Yeah,
right.
It's
You're
just
right.
been years because all that has been going on with the writer strike and COVID and all that. So
Yeah, that's right.
Cam, I'm personally right with you. I think that's exactly what they're gonna do. But I don't think they'll because Jacob, you're saying with Anthony Mackie, they're not gonna get rid of him. Even now, they're trying to introduce Ironheart as like the new Iron Man. We still have War Machine around, but I think what they'll probably do, because in the newer comics, like after Secret Wars, that event happens with the new universe. Everybody that's like dead, basically, just gets comes back to life. So like Anthony Mackie is still Captain America. He just works with Chris Evans, not Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, who's also Captain America. And it's so like a lot of times in the comics they have multiple versions of the same character. Like I think a lot of times even in the newer ones, like with Ant-Man, I think Hank Pym and Scott Lang are both Ant-Man at the same time. Like it's
I don't know.
at
It's
least
gonna get too convoluted.
Yeah, but they can do better, Sam. They can do
you're
better
right.
than that.
You're right.
The whole thing
They're
is
just trying to sell comic books every week.
it's gonna get pretty convoluted, I think, by the end of Secret Wars. Just like the amount of actors and people dead, but then people not dead now. I just think they need a fresh restart. I personally think, just like I think they're gonna see James Gunn's DCU and they're gonna be like, oh, that'd be so nice, like story wise, to just keep it simple. I don't know.
Well,
Dad, what do you think?
Do you think they'll restart the universe? Like do kind of the same formula they did with Iron Man, and then have Hulk show up, then Thor? Or do you think they'll just have an already established?
That's suicide.
I think they should.
That's
yeah, it's
suicide.
way too early.
I think they should do some sort of reboot, like James Gunn. Keep characters that you want to keep around, but recast characters you want to reintroduce. I don't know. It might seem convoluted.
No, we've been complaining about DC for so long for them doing this.
I don't know, dude. They might do it.
You're asking for
That
what
is
we
not the
hate,
move.
really.
No, I'm saying they might do that. Is what I'm.
We have a
guessing.
replacement for Cap. We have a replacement for
But people
Iron
want to
Man.
see
We have a
Chris
replacement
Evans.
for
I'm
Black
sorry.
Widow. Who else?
People want to see.
Who
People
else?
want to see Captain America, Steve Rogers. They want to see Tony Stark, Iron Man. I don't think anybody cares about Ironheart. Honestly, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
Well,
Right?
we
I
will
don't
be
know.
covering it, people. So
Yeah, Dad, what do you think? I don't know.
I think Jacob's right. I think the reality is they can't touch those characters. They can't touch Steve Rogers and Tony Stark for another 20 years. Your kids will be the ones watching them. You'll be my age, and the problem is they Marvel hit it out of the park. Those first 10 movies or whatever there was in the Infinity Saga, gold standard, right? The bar was set, and they're trying, they're working, they're trying. The problem is they just need to go, here, we're done. Now it's the X-Men universe or whatever. And when they're done with that in 10 years, well, then maybe they can reboot and do the next Avengers, however they want to do it. But I'm just saying, the reality is they can't let go. They're making money, right? And so that's going to drive them to kind of hang on to it longer than they really should. And it's my opinion.
Interesting.
I don't think they're ever going to touch the word reboot. They're never going to say that. They're never going to say restart. They're going to say brand new or new world.
Fine.
But they're never going to admit that they're restarting something. Because even if people are like, yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, they still have the will of it's still going on, you know?
I'm saying maybe there's going to be just some sort of, maybe even if you do keep those same characters, there's going to be some sort of refresh, new world, like you're saying. But the X-Men and all like Fantastic Four, the Avengers, they're all in the same world. After Battle World, after Secret Wars, after all of that, Spider-Man's there. I think they want like a cohesive world instead of like there's the 616 that just has the Avengers and Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And then there's X-Men over here in a different whole separate universe. I think they want to combine them. I think that's my opinion, right? But maybe they're going to keep those same actors like you're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's still the 616, but they want to combine it all somehow story-wise. I don't know. That's my opinion.
What we are saying, I think, doesn't apply to the X-Men. I think they're wholesale recasting the X-Men. All of those people are too old.
Mm-hmm.
Ian McKellen's going to die like tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. He looked ancient in 2005.
Yeah. Wait, actually, he was like 55 in 2000. Not 2005, but like, how old was he when he started playing Gandalf? Does anybody know that? He was like 50. He's in his 50s because he's in his 70s now. He's got to be like in his 50s.
60, dude.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No way. He's older than that.
That's something to Google. Let me look. Let me look it up.
How old was Moses when he parted the Red Sea? I think he's about that age.
Dude, he's 85. Don't even.
No, how old was he when he first played Gandalf?
In 2000. Oh, Gandalf?
He would have been 60 then.
It was 2001, right?
Around
so
60.
24 years ago.
Yeah.
So 60, 66.
Whoa. Okay, so he was older. Okay, I don't know why I thought he was so much younger. But yeah, that's interesting.
Dude, he wasn't like 5 years older than me in that.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be great. He looks really old in both Gandalf and Magneto. So,
but we will see, guys. Any final thought? I know we went on a huge tangent here with Fantastic Four, Galactus.
Speaking of Pedro Pascal being in anything, are any of you guys watching The Last of Us now?
Yes.
Season 2. Did you like the first episode?
I thought it was pretty good. I don't really like.
Did you play the games? Is what I'm wondering. Have you played the games?
I played the first one, and the first one enraged me so much that I vowed to never play the second one.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
but you like the episode? I thought it was a pretty good episode.
I thought it was good. I kind of agree with the internet. I'm not a big fan. Is it Bella Ramsey? Is that her name? I'm not a huge fan of her. I think her acting is okay. I just feel like she doesn't look like the character. So
I don't think that matters. I think she's a pretty good actress, so I think it's pretty convincing.
I'm curious to see
Pedro Pascal doesn't really look like Joel
it's
either.
Kind of weird. I'm curious to see what they do with, because they said they're breaking the game into 2 seasons. So I'm curious where they're gonna break off, because I know like what happens. Obviously,
spoiler. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, we won't talk about that on the pod, but yeah. But yeah, it is. I'm glad it's back. The production quality seems like an increase from the first season. Sure. But yeah, there's again Pedro Pascal's and everything, but he doesn't look like Joel, and he doesn't look like Mr. Fantastic.
The first season enraged me, made me very angry because there was a lack of zombie, like action or violence whatsoever. There was like a lot of side stuff, and I loved the first game. Actually, I played it, and I was just so upset about that. Because I was like, man, how is Walking Dead kind of beating them in zombie violence? You know what I mean? When they have HBO level money. You know what I mean? I know there was that one really cool scene with the big zombies, but that was about it almost. There was some scary, like, they're like in a building, and they're like hiding, but there wasn't like, I don't know, there wasn't like crazy. I wasn't scared at all watching the show. I wanted to be scared, So that was my one thing. The
games are scary when you play the games.
Oh, yeah.
They're freaky.
But guys, we got to move on. We got Daredevil Born Again, the finale. Let's break this down. Let's recap.
Look at that. That was a sight to see.
So cool. I love Frank Castle. He's one of my favorite characters. So guys, should we break this down by plot point? How should we go about this? You just want to talk in general about it? I can kind of broadly
just start
the story.
Yeah, pretty broad.
We got Kingpin. He's making a crime state sort of building, I guess, some sort of huge facility where crime is legal, some sort of loophole in the system. I don't claim to understand that, but You know, he's trying to fix the city
Well-
with Vanessa.
Well, when all of your cronies there are on your side, I mean, you know, how can you not?
he's got
just
the
have that
corrupt
state.
Yeah.
Punisher policeman. Did any of you guys claim to understand what he was trying to accomplish there? Some sort of
Who?
kingpin, like this crime state?
Oh yeah, so he keeps on asking to develop. Remember, he wants to develop
Yeah,
this
yeah.
harbor. Remember, they went there in an earlier episode, and he was like, "This could be a center for art and entertainment." But I think he wants it to be its own little like city state, that harbor where he can pretty much own and run it as if he's the. I don't think he cares about being mayor of New York proper. With all these rules and the vice mayor always being on his back, I think he wants to run his own little city state. So that's what he's trying to get created right now.
Did you catch the one in the one episode where maybe the second to the last episode where they had found the paperwork where that area is tax exempt or something? It's like its own.
Yeah, because Foggy was doing some sort of
that was the whole
lawsuit
thing
on
with
it.
Foggy.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he can now launder not millions but billions of dollars through that area. So
Nobody can stop him.
And then he weaponized the police force, guys. I mean it's Mayor Kingpin. He knew what he was doing the whole time. I mean, the guy's brilliant.
They got the police chief.
And there's a lot of people.
Oh.
I can tell you from my side, I was watching going, oh man, you can almost, if you were a citizen, boy, you could buy in. I think, Fisk, amazing character. That is just so well written.
We need to stop these vigilantes and these mass murderers, so we need the police to be
a little bit rougher.
A little bit rougher. No, but he's like, no body cams, nothing. That was kind of funny. He kills the police commissioner, Gallo, right? That was crushes his skull. What the heck? That was a little gory, violent.
What was crazy to me is like the lady that was working with him actually was, loyal to him.
Yeah,
I think she was scared. I think she was self-preservation.
Definitely, but I was
scared.
just like,
she's scared.
He's asking her in the hallway, like, "Hey, will you stand up with me?" She doesn't know if there's a camera in the hallway, so she's like, "You know what? This guy's dead. I know it. I'm saving myself." Because you saw her crying after.
Yeah, definitely.
After she went and told Fisk.
Yeah, that's an interesting plot point. Even what's his name? What's the guy? The son of the famous actor, right? Gandolfini or whatever.
James Gandolfini.
Yeah, Kingpin's little right-hand man. Even him, he was like going to the council and was like, you're going to do this, basically, allowing these crimes to be legal, I guess. I don't even know.
He used some blackmail against them, apparently.
Some sort of blackmail, right? So, man, I was thinking they were playing up that character for him to take the fall for Kingpin or something, but they didn't go down that route, which was interesting. And even the fact that all those cops were just watching Kingpin kill the commissioner, and just allowing it to happen, I just thought that was crazy. Just the fear, we get Matt's in the hospital still. His girlfriend leaves, and Kingpin's like, what did he say? He's like, oh, the brave lawyer succumbed to his wounds, didn't he? He's just talking to the guy, and then the guy's like, "Oh yes, he did," and then he just leaves the room. You're like, "Man, that's a cool way of saying just go kill that guy for me,"
Yeah.
But of course, Matt can hear everything, so Matt gets out of the room before you get the syringe of death from his Kingpin's right hand man guy. But Punisher saves the day here, meets Matt in his apartment, which I was confused at first. I was like, how did he know to come get him? Which they explained Karen called the Punisher, called Frank to come help Matt. That was a cool little callback because, Karen's in the Punisher show, which is cool because the guy who's show running this, he made the Punisher show. So he understands that connection. So I love the little tiny connections to the old show for sure. Guys, how'd you feel about that? Just Punisher showing up, crazy.
Even talking about connections to the old show, they mentioned Agent Nadeem in season 3.
Yes. Big character.
Which was that's some and then they mentioned why Fisk is out. That was the biggest thing I had was why is Wilson Fisk out? Because in season 3 they show
gets
that
arrested.
Dex
Yeah.
killed Nadeem on his orders. That's how they arrest
Yeah.
him, right? And then they show that it's because the FBI was so corrupt. They said this really brief in passing, I think, at the start of the episode, when Vanessa visited Dex when he was in a psychiatric hospital. And she said something like, yeah, the FBI was, what was it? It was like, because they were so corrupt that they didn't stick, and that's why Fisk got acquitted. So that's kind of sad rewatching season 3 at the end when Matt's like, I got you, Nadeem gave his life to get you in this corner and it didn't stick.
Man.
Pretty frustrating. I mean, this is the second time now they've cornered him legally and he's gotten off on something. So I think Matt's got to explore the other option.
Murder? Oh, man. What happens next here? We got, oh, man, that scene in the apartment with Punisher and Matt, and Punisher's just killing them, and Matt's like, stop, what are you doing? Oh, man. Dad, how'd you feel about that scene? Did you like seeing Frank back? Full-on Frank Castle.
I think Billy Russo said it best. Oh, Frankie, I love watching you work. Oh, man. It's that is awesome. You got Daredevil pulling punches, his typical, trying not to kill him, and Frank doing his thing and just punishing. It was awesome. What a scene. Loved it.
Yeah. Very close.
That's adrenaline right there, right?
Yeah,
like,
They kind of figure out who's the guy who's been using Punisher's moniker. I think it's Officer North, right? Because he's the one who's been using these Punisher bullets with the Punisher casings, and he's the one who killed White Tiger. I thought it was interesting. Matt won't do it. He won't kill him, even though he's so mad, And Punisher's about to kill him, but then the building explodes anyway. So all those guys are dead, basically killed by their own people, even really, But Punisher and Matt jump out the window. Any thoughts about this whole scene, guys? Sam, how'd you feel about seeing Punisher back? Karen, the connection?
I was actually surprised because I had assumed that after we briefly saw him in, what was it, like episode 3 or something?
Yeah.
That was all it was going to be. I just assumed, okay, like now we know Punisher's here and we're just going to, they'll somehow have it be like his special as a side quest. But I was actually really happy that he came back, and that fight scene was just amazing. I love when, he's about to kill that guy who's pretending to be the Punisher, and Daredevil's like, no, it's not worth it. And then Frank shoots the other police officer in the head, and he's like, oh, how about that guy? Worth it?
Was he worth it? Yeah.
That part was hilarious. And,
I love...
There's a great line in that fight scene as well, where Frank says, why'd you take a bullet for him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
Matt did, or why'd you take a bullet for Fisk? And Matt was like, that's a great question. He couldn't stop himself.
Yeah,
that's who he is.
Yeah, right.
But
man, crazy.
He was kicking himself. You could tell.
Yeah, man, insane. You got all these people still after them. They go down into the Punisher lair, which I thought that was funny that he's got his own little lair with Karen.
Yeah.
Punisher says he's done with it. He's like, I'm done. You guys can do this on your own, So Karen and Matt get patched up. They go and they're looking through their old files on the Foggy case, kind of piecing together how is this connected to Vanessa, and they figure out the whole city-state thing was connected to Foggy. Foggy had to go, right? And his Foggy's client as well. So she's the one who hired Bullseye to kill Foggy, in the process making Matt pretty mad. I thought Foggy's death was going to be faked, but I guess it's real. I don't know, because in the comics it's like Foggy fakes his death. So, but maybe they're going for it. They're going full for it. I don't know. How did this end here? Which I thought this was a little bit anticlimactic a little bit. Maybe they should have ended with the Punisher fight, maybe more so than just Matt like looking at the building and being like, "Oh, we can't do it." We need an army.
We are this city.
But I guess that's hinting towards season 2, right? They're gonna form the Defenders again. I hope. I hope. Who do you want to see there, guys? Defenders. You want to see some old cast back? Luke Cage.
You gotta. I think you gotta bring them all back. You got Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, and then you gotta get the other ones like Misty and Colleen.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think you get the old crew.
that would be
really.
so cool. I don't know. Any other thoughts, guys? Would you like to see the old crew, or do you think they're gonna just do White Tiger as what the female White Tiger? The cops that are on Matt Murdock's side is what it looks like from that bar scene. Matt gives that little powerful speech about this is a city without fear, basically, right?
Do you think Bullseye will team up with him?
Oh,
I noticed he was like missing throughout the last half. I was just curious.
Yeah.
He's trying to kill Kingpin, so
Yeah,
just saying.
Interesting, Wade. Which
I
seems
think
like you.
I think Bullseye's gonna form his own little, or maybe not Bullseye, but I think Kingpin might try to form his own little team to take on against Daredevil's team. Because if the Defenders are there, I honestly think he might try to bring in a couple anti-heroes or other darker vigilantes to be a part of his own little squad he has.
One guy I talked to about this was like the saddest thing is that Spider-Man can't be involved in this stuff for some like rights issues and stuff because he is a New York City vigilante, and he's usually involved in all of this stuff. But man, that would be so cool to have, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Punisher. Man, that'd be so cool. So how did the whole thing kind of ended with that speech? They're showing that Josie's bar's shut down. They're showing Matt through the windows, talking. And we get a little tiny end credit scene of wait, we didn't even talk about Punisher. He actually did go, and he actually went into the building. I thought that was so funny. Matt's like, we can't do this. We need an army, and Punisher just goes in by himself.
Frank
just walks right in by himself. So how'd you guys feel about that scene? He's obviously just taking him out, but it's too much for him. How'd you guys feel about that?
Yeah, he totally thought. I think he totally thought he was going there to 1v all of them and win. I think he underestimated how many people were there,
which is kind of
I
sad.
disagree. I think he said he was done. I think he went in there to take as many out as he could and go out in a blaze of glory. I think that's what he was thinking.
Which is why he was just taking those punches, like ready to die, kind of.
Interesting.
He did seem kind of depressed this whole season. So it seems like he's got no purpose, kind of feeling. He doesn't have Micro, his buddy.
That's the whole point to me for that end credit scene.
They
left him alive and imprisoned him. Oh, they
dumb.
woke him up, man.
Yeah, yeah. You think they woke him up?
Yeah.
That's a great interpretation, really, because maybe he thinks I can't do much more. Look at how crazy the city is, even if I'm doing what I think is my most. But maybe if people see that they killed the Punisher, they'll be like, "Whoa, these people might be kind of really bad,"
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm processing that new take now.
No, that was a good take.
That Frank was going there maybe as a last thing.
I'm sorry. That was a bit ridiculous where he's like, "Hey, buddy, what's your name?" "Oh, Anthony? Oh, I could tell you're from Jersey. Come over and shake my hand." Like, really? Are you, as a prison guard, going to come shake a prisoner's hand?
Well, they love him. You got to think like they were wearing his costume. They're wearing his skull on his shirt.
Okay,
They think he's
that's
like
fair.
I don't know.
I still thought it was
they asked him to join them.
He should have said. Why didn't he say yes and then kill them all?
You are who we want to be.
I like that he was like, you guys don't even understand. He's like, you guys don't even know me. You don't even understand my pain. You don't know why I'm even doing this. That was pretty good. I think they're kind of talking about like the people who wear the Punisher like logo as like an excuse to be excessive, when obviously the Punisher is excessive, like obviously he's a brutal dude, but yeah, guys, let's get into some questions just talking about, because this is the finale. The show's over. Do you guys, does anybody here personally think this is the best MCU Disney Plus show thus far? Any of you guys think that?
I'd say so.
Like of all,
It's up there. The
Of
good ones
all
are so
time?
different.
Disney
Or
Plus, though.
recently.
Disney Plus. So you got Loki, WandaVision.
I put it as second behind Loki. I think Loki's my favorite.
Really,
But
Wade?
we also did 2 seasons of it, and it's much more sci-fi, which is a lot more
That's
what,
more up
what
your
I
alley.
what I tend to move to. So
Yeah, it's so hard to compare something like Loki and Daredevil. I mean,
And like,
they're not the same
WandaVision was
piece, you
kinda
know,
fun,
and they're
too.
both excellent. And WandaVision, you
No.
know what I mean? And Moon Knight's off in its own corner where they're all
we
doing
loved
their
Moon
own
Knight on the
thing.
pod, but nobody
you
else
know-
likes Moon Knight.
I
don't
love
know why.
Moon Knight. Moon Knight was my favorite show until this one came out.
Nice.
There you go.
How does it compare to the original show? How you guys feeling? John was a little bit negative last week. He was not feeling it. He was scared to give his
Well,
opinion.
it
but
doesn't compare really. I mean, the depth of the Netflix Daredevil is kind of unmatched. With the
Yeah.
action and the gravitas and all the situations, they're much more developed. But obviously, that we've talked about this. They've had plenty more. They had more episodes and longer run times to really
yeah.
flesh out a whole lot of stuff. But I think for what this is, they did a really good job of,
It
only
feels
thing is I
like an
wish it was a little more
MCU
at the end,
version of. It feels like an MCU version of the Daredevil show. You know what I mean? Like they MCU-ified it. It is a little less deep. Like I've been watching the first season of Daredevil, the show, and I'm like, man, the crime stuff is really intricate and it's very well thought out. And this was a little bit more surface level for me, which is fine. We only have 9 episodes. We don't have like 13-hour-long episodes. I don't know.
And on top of that, this was stitched together from 2 different creative teams.
True.
Who both got to film stuff, and it's stitched together from those. So maybe season 2 will
Be more cohesive, yeah.
And I agree with you guys. I felt the absence of some of the depth in the writing, but it didn't really bother me because it was a bit more of a fast-paced show. I mean, the old Daredevil show had time for characters to sit down in their apartments and talk for like 20-minute scenes.
True.
That was just a different pace show altogether. The DNA of the show was different. Matt would sit under the church with his mom and talk to her for, I think, like a 20-minute scene, literally. And that's half of an episode here. So the pace is so different that, I'm not faulting it for not being as deep because there's not much of an opportunity.
Dad, how do you feel like it compares? You've watched the whole Defender series, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I went through all of it. I don't know, 2 years ago, and you guys touched on it all. I don't disagree with any of your takes on that. I will say this: when the first episode came out, and they started right in, right, and they completely shattered Nelson Page and Murdoch, and then they go into the, what do they call it, Jacob, when they do like the initial credits and they're rolling the scenery,
the intro.
Yeah.
Man, they show the Daredevil, and then all of his world is crumbling. It was rock solid for him. The church, Lady Liberty, the Lady of Justice.
Yeah.
Nelson Page and Murdoch, everything crumbling, and then from the rocks, Daredevil comes back and is rebuilt. I was like, oh man, that was awesome, right? And so it's just that pulled me in right off the bat, and watching him, basically pick himself up from basically despair, right? I mean, let's face where he was, and become back to who he is. It's going to be great, and he's there now, and the next 9 episodes, I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. I think it took this season to kind of make sense of all of the MCU stuff, like Kingpin being in Hawkeye, Kingpin being in Echo, Daredevil being in Echo. They kind of had to make some things make sense, and maybe it just took this one season of less deepness, but somehow trying to explain all of this and building up a new story. I think that's maybe what it took. how do you guys feel about the future of street level Marvel? Obviously, Wade, you're a more cosmic guy. Do you think the street level Marvel is going to continue at all? Obviously, we're getting a second season, but
I mean, maybe. Let's get Sam's take. I'm curious.
Sam, how do you feel?
I'm really excited. I mean, some of my favorite Marvel comics that I own are like the ground level, smaller Spider-Man stories and Daredevil stories. But that's just the kicker, is if they're not able to work Spider-Man into more of the street level stuff, I think it's never going to be up to the full potential that it could be, because he's like the main, you know, ground level hero you have.
Yeah.
And if they're not able to sprinkle him into different things, then it's going to be harder. I mean, obviously you have people like Daredevil, and you've got the Defenders, and you've got Moon Knight, who are pretty much ground level heroes, but it's going to be hard without Spider-Man. And it's even like, you know, you've even got like the Thunderbolts who are there, but it'll be until they're able to, I don't know if it takes, you know, buying Sony for Disney just so they can own Spider-Man again officially. I don't know if that's what it has to be, but I think until they're officially able to like use Spider-Man freely whenever they feel like it, I think it's just not gonna be as good as some of the more like cosmic level events that they're coming up with.
Sony's never going to sell Marvel. They made too much money off of Kraven the Hunter and Morbius, you know. So.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people were like, man, this is crazy, because like Thunderbolts comes out May 2nd and Kingpin is the mayor of New York.
Yeah.
And
So I'm wondering if it takes place before.
it takes place in New York.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I know Kingpin apparently can't show up in movies based off of his rights. There's some rights issues, but I hope they get the check. They get
That's
the check
ridiculous.
to whoever has the rights and say, "Hey, you know what? We want him in Thunderbolts." That'd be so funny. Could you imagine just Kingpin saying, "We will protect the city. we will
I put
stop-
together a team."
I put together a team to stop Sentry." That'd be funny if he took credit for the Thunderbolts. That would be kind of funny. Because you know how he took credit for killing Muse, right? The police. That would
Yeah.
be kind of funny.
Yeah, except he's against vigilantes.
Yeah, true.
But they would.
But Thunderbolts are government sanctioned because
Yeah.
they all work for the CIA.
yeah,
Oh, there you go.
Or at least a couple of them.
Yeah.
A couple of them work for Val already.
Yeah. Man, guys, yeah. Anything that I've missed from the show? Anything that stood out to you guys before we head out of here?
I was just gonna say, when we were watching the finale last night, Keith had the funniest response to the end of the finale. He was like, I asked him, I was like, what do you think about it? And he's like, it's pretty good. He's like, but I think I just figured out how they can stop Kingpin. And I was like, what? And he's like, they can just call Thor over, and Thor can just be like, oh, you need me to go take him out? Okay, sounds good. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of
That is kind of a plot hole with you have all these massively powerful superheroes that would be like, yeah, that's obviously wrong. Let's go stop him.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, let's
take
just
2
go-
seconds.
The thing is, I don't
Thor.
think a lot of people know, since he has all these people in cages underneath the ground. You know, like I don't think anyone knows he's even doing this. So from the outside, he looks like actually a good mayor. You know, the only people that know are Matt, and like Matt doesn't know Thor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Well,
and
just
Matt's like almost to Matt's like own flaw. Like he's not involved with the Avengers whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably doesn't want to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they know who he is. I know they say like the devil of Hell's Kitchen a lot, I guess, like on the news, but I don't know. Interesting. Jake, any final thoughts on the show as a whole?
Awesome. It was just great to be back, and it was great to have the best of both worlds. You know, it was in the MCU. It felt very current. It felt like it mattered in terms of, you know, things. I'm keeping up with the MCU. I'm watching it. This feels important, but it was true to what it used to be. Yeah, as close as it could be. It really walked in both worlds, and I'm okay if it keeps on walking towards the MCU a little more now, but they had a bridge, which was really important.
Yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts for season 2? What could happen? Some sort of all-out war. Some sort of Defenders thing.
Dad, the real question is, do we need Luke Cage back?
I told you guys, I love Luke Cage. That was a great show. the second season is phenomenal TV. I'll tell you. I
can't
like
bring
it.
Cottonmouth back because he's Blade now.
But he's also dead.
Oh yeah, Cottonmouth's dead.
Spoiler for the show.
Whoops. Sorry. Yeah. Cool, guys. Awesome. Well, we're done with Daredevil, but you know what we do have soon? Andor.
Yes.
Right, Wade?
Yes. Check us out for Andor.
Yeah.
We used to pray for times like
Yes.
this.
So follow us on Spotify, Instagram, like and subscribe on YouTube, the Webinar Seminar Podcast. We got tons of awesome stuff. I think, does Accountant 2 come out next week, Wade?
Not next week, I think.
But in 2 weeks. So we will be covering that. We're going to be covering a lot of crazy, awesome stuff, guys. So stick around. Dad, thanks for being on. Any final words of wisdom for us, Father Sporto? What should we do?
Thanks for having me on. I guess I'm officially on YouTube. Awesome.
Let's go.
There you are.
Wait, Dad, we didn't even get to ask you, what are you watching these days? What should we be watching with you?
Yeah, this is our favorite segment. What are you watching?
Right now I'm actually just finishing up The Bear.
Ooh.
That's on my list.
It's a great show. It's Jacob, you talked about another show being having, adult themes and language. This one is definitely up that one, but I'll tell you what, the character development throughout the whole show. John Barenthal is actually, he makes guest appearances on that show. I've absolutely enjoyed it. It's been very entertaining.
Cool.
So that's what I've been watching.
Awesome.
And then I'm going through Andor as well with Ella, so we can be prepared for season 2.
Nice. Sweet, guys. Thanks for being on. We'll see you later.